Hi, everybody. What I want to do today is to talk about photographing your watches for the watch review or the watch of the week. And the first thing that I wanted to show you is that when you have an overcast day like it is today, the light is almost perfect. The reason for that is that the clouds act like a filter to diffuse the light. And diffuse light is the best light. Here I've got a couple watches. I'm wearing one, and the first thing that we would do with a watch, let me see if I can put it up here so it's okay. You want to pull your sleeve up all the way when you take a picture of your watch, and then you want to turn the dial so that the light is just right. And like I said, on a day like today, it's pretty good. Now, this particular one has a white dial with blue hands on it, and it's relatively easy to shoot, but a lot of times the blue hands don't turn out. And so you have to turn it just right so you can see the blue. Here is a blue face. Again, you got to turn it so that like this, it's not too good. And watch the background. You don't want my face as a background. You wouldn't take this shot ever. And you don't want a busy background. The kind of background you want is, well, probably not snow. That will give you way too much backlighting. If you're taking it out here, your wrist is holding your wrist up and holding it so that it makes sense. This is upside down. I've taken a lot of pictures to realize it's upside down. Taking one upside down is not too much of a problem because with editing software, it's easy to flip around. Here's a blue one with a blue face, and again, sometimes the blue face you got to turn it just so to get the color right. And here's another one with a black face, and the same thing with a black face. This one is very difficult to photograph because the black face on it, there's a black face and there's a little subdial with a red hand on it. That's something else that's very likely. You know, there's a squirrel out here that's going to photobomb me any second now, so if I jump, it's because of him. Also, too, when you're photographing the movement, the same thing goes. Movements have a lot of different colors sometimes and a lot of things that go shiny. And so you got to watch out for that. But like I said, with good light and on a cloudy day like this, you have almost perfect light, is a good time to shoot it. I mean, that's an easy way to do it too. Now let's go take a look at some other ways that we can do it indoors. Well, as you saw from our venture outside, one of the issues, I guess you'd call it, we have is a background. Now, on this particular day, I had snow background and then a deck. We had cleaned off the deck of the snow that had been on it, and the temperature had gone up enough so there wasn't anything. So we just had the brown deck with the planking on the deck for a background, or the snow. Neither one of those is ideal. The snow has a lot of light of its own. In fact, in the wintertime up here in New England on a snowy day is when I need my sunglasses the most because there's glare everywhere. And the deck, sometimes that will work, but the problem with the deck, you have the planking, and the planking tends to break up the background. When you make photographs, you want a nice solid background. My favorite background is simply this watch pad. This is something you probably should have anyway if you don't. And it's by AF, it's a Swiss company. And when I do everything from monkey around with changing my straps to playing watchmaker, this goes down first. You always want to have a nice padding. And the thing is, it's sort of this a neutral green. Right now I'm getting some glare from it, some of the very lighting I was talking about. There are a lot of simple things you can do. You don't need to get an expensive lighting system. You can if you want. It makes life a lot easier if you have one, but you don't need one. You can use the things around the house. For example, I've got my magnifying lamp combination, and if the light is a little too glary, what I do is that I put this, this is just a grocery bag, one you get at the grocery store. And what it does, it diffuses the light. It acts as a filter. So nothing fancy about that. Another option you have is called a light tent. And what you do is that you have lights on the outside of the tent, and then on the inside, you put your watches. And then they have a little hole in the tent, and you take a picture of your watches through the hole. Okay, one of the first things you want to do is to be sure that your dials and the rest of your watch is nice and cleaned up. A watch with a bunch of fingerprints on it doesn't look very good. And, just give them your best, put their best foot forward. It's so easy to make a watch look cheap or not quite as good simply because it's got fingerprints all over the dial. All right, with these two, if they have a regular tang strap on it, or one that you can lay out, this is what I would recommend. Have them laid out like this, and also shoot them one at a time. You have to be aware of the color of the background because you don't want it to clash with the watch, or if it's, for this one, it has a dark navy blue strap and the silver colored face and dark blue dials. You want something with a little contrast, not too much. This green that's on these A&F watch pads works with just about all of them. Okay, and also too, like I said, you want to do one at a time. If you have a bracelet or a deployant strap, it's better to use some kind of little stand, because if you try to lie them down, they come up at all kinds of strange angles and so forth. And you want just a nice clear one of the watch. I would not recommend taking a whole lot of them together, and instead just take one at a time, and then any kind of work with them I can do when you send them in. But the cleaner they are, the better they're going to look, the better you as a collector is going to look, and me as a reviewer will all look better. I'll look better as a reviewer too. Okay, now this is a fairly simple kind of thing. It's the trick is don't get real creative and have all kinds of strange background. Just have a nice clean background. That works out the best. Okay, well that's it. It just has been a short video, and all I wanted to do was to emphasize the point that when you take a picture, the background you have should be plain. If you use something like this is my grandkids made a mouse pad for me. You don't want that kind of background because you can see how much it hides the watches. Whereas, as you saw before, we had that light out on our green watch pad. Now, if you don't have a green watch pad, you can use a white piece of paper or any kind of color that is fairly neutral. And that there's some contrast between the watch and whatever the background is. The background should be unnoticed, and the best way to have an unnoticed background is to be sure that the background is plain. It's one thing you really want to try to do. Okay, I always look forward to seeing your watches and images of your watches. If you got any ideas for taking pictures of watches, go ahead and leave a comment. Also, too, there's some really, really good YouTube videos on lighting and on camera work and everything like that. Some of the things that they have for photographing watches are for Let me put it this way. Um, Sometimes the art gets in the way of the watch. On our channel, what the focus is going to be on is the watch and nothing else. Okay. Uh, See you guys Friday. And in the meantime, let me know what you think. Oh, yeah, you can still subscribe. Take care. Bill Sanders, Watch Art Sci.